Here we go. Welcome to the Cabinet Maker Profit System podcast. This is a show just for woodshop owners like cabinet makers, architecture millworkers, and closet companies who are interested in the business of the woodshop business. So if you want to work smarter, not just harder, you're in the right place. I'm going to start by asking you a pretty upfront question. Do you find yourself a mix of excited and a little bit frustrated and a little bit curious? You're excited because you're good at your trade and you know you do great work. You get a lot of satisfaction from it. But at the same time, you're frustrated because you're trying to grow a business. And it feels like every time you take two steps forward, you also slide one step backward. And then you're curious on top of that because you're actually looking for answers. You haven't just settled into the groove and given up like so many other contractors do and say, oh, I'm just going to stay small. For some reason, some fire, something inside you is burning that says, I can do more. We can get bigger. I can fix these things. I can make this work. If you say things like that, you're in the right place. This episode is important because it has been specifically made to help you get through a hurdle that exists in the finished wood trades. Now, let's talk about this podcast in general. What's this podcast series all about? Really, it's about mindset and focus. I'm going to provide the what and the how. You have to bring the when. Does that make sense? I'll provide the what and the how. You have to bring the when you're ready. Okay. But I'm going to keep showing you the tools so that you have the tools when the time is right. Now, if you tuned in to this show, it's because you're at the point in the business where you realize it's time to level up, right? So good. You're in the right place. And I want to let you know the show is built to hit 3 high points. My job is to educate, inform, and inspire business owners in the finished woods trades. I want to show you the path so you can move from being a contractor who has a shop and a field crew and change your thinking, your approach, your mindset to one where you are a business person who just happens to run a cabinet shop. Noodle on that for a second. I'm a business person who just happens to run a cabinet shop. It's a little bit different, right? Now, look, I haven't seen every situation in the world, but I have been doing this for over 20 years. When I invite a guest to be on the show, the first thing I need to do is ask myself is this: can they answer a common problem, frustration, or a stuck point? Or can they bring this topic and add value in a way you never considered before? And can they answer the questions I hear from you, which is the most important, you who listen to this podcast right now? Because I hear the same things in different conversations when I talk to business owners. People send me a text message when they want a free download, and then sometimes they're like, "Hey Dom, can we meet?" And they get on the phone, them and their son, or them and their partner, or them alone. And of course, I take notes, right? That's what I'm supposed to do. And so here's some of the things I hear. Dom, we're doing good, but we could be doing better. I'm ready, but there's so much to do. I don't even know where to start. When it comes to problems, people will say, look, we got to do something about this or that. It's a bottleneck that keeps coming up. This one, I don't want to say I'm excited when I hear it, but it's fixable. So that's why I'm excited, but I understand the frustration behind it. Dom, why am I busy but still broke? Short sentence, big impact, right? And by the way, I know, respectfully, I understand that by the time I'm hearing that question, you've already had that conversation at your kitchen table with your family. And I'm sorry that you're in that situation, and I'm happy you reached out because I deal with that all the time. I know how to get through it. Hey, other questions, kind of leads onto that one. Why can't I get more of the right work when I need it? Sometimes we've got scheduling or production or delivery problems. Like sometimes you're building cabinets and they're just sitting in the back of your shop and they're not ready to go to site. Well, that gets frustrating, right? Because you've got cash flow tied up in that. You've got scheduling issues. There's all sorts of things that pop off from that. But I want to show you how to keep that simple and keep yourself a priority in that transaction. And of course, the other thing I hear, this is a family business, right? So people don't necessarily say that. They're like, hey, I brought my son in. Hey, my partner brought his son in. Me and my cousin started this business. And so if you've got a family business, understanding that family and business need to go together in a respectful way, because the family's going to continue probably longer than the business will. Even if you go 6, 7, 8 generations, when I'm talking about your family, I mean the legacy of your last name. The legacy of your last name will continue. That I have to understand is important. And I have to hear, I'll just say both sides, if there's two of you, because both of you have priorities, but all of you have a goal to get the business forward. It's for everybody to making money, have time off. So I hear that one a lot as well. Anyways, If you've ever asked yourself questions like that, then I hope you're happy to know that I use those kind of questions when I build the agenda and outline for the podcast over the year. You may not know this, but I have one specific person on my team whose only job is to find me good guests. That is her full-time job for me. And so I don't just randomly send her out there and say, hey, who wants to be on a podcast? No. I'm like, yeah, I want you to go after this person on this topic, on this theme. And then she goes and finds that person. Sometimes it takes months to get those people on the show. Anyways, listen, I appreciate that. I'm giving you a little bit more background than you might want. So I know this show might frustrate you because the topics and the subjects are aimed at people with companies, with shops in the $1 million plus range. Now, don't hang up if you're not in the $1 million plus range, because when you're selling and producing jobs at the rate of, what is that, 83 grand a month or more, little moves add up to big, big differences. That's why those kinds of companies tune into this show, because by the time you get to $1 million, you realize the money's not in the sawdust anymore. It's in the simple systems. It's in what are the little moves that are going to give me a big return? That's why they tune in. So if you're smaller than that, I'm not going to leave you hanging. Stick around. Take a lot of notes. As a matter of fact, take advantage of everything here, because this is the kind of information you can use to bring your business from a couple hundred grand to $1 million in a very short time. All right, pretty cool. It's nice knowing that $1 million businesses are listening and using this info to get themselves to 5 million. And of course, the fives that are listening are aiming for 10, and the tens that are listening are aiming for 20. And the 20s that are, and I know you're out there because I've worked with lots of 20s, and we get you to 60. The $20 million companies that are listening want to get to 60. And you might think, well, how can we all be getting the same information? Because you take the information and you use it against the company you've got, and you just take one small step forward in a way that makes sense for you. That's what the show's about. So what it means at the end of the day, sometimes our show is going to sound more like board of director talk or CEO of large construction company talk. But no matter what, I work hard to make sure everything we discuss here is easy to understand or has a simple visual or a simple tool to go along with it, because simple systems scale. Simple pictures, simple documents, simple ideas, simple models. I mean, you guys know when somebody has a very complex build, I'll just say a curved reception for just a generic idea, it still has a simple picture, simple model, right? Simple works. So on this show, you're going to hear from other experts in the field. You're going to be surprised with some of the outside guests I've got lined up this year. We're going to talk about time management, wasted time. We're going to talk about people, team, and culture. We're going to dive into money and profits and fixing those annoying profit leaks. You're going to learn how to sell your company one day, or really get it ready to be bought at a premium. And for some of you, of course, how to pass it on to somebody else in your family. What about growth? Yeah, well, we talk a lot about growth here. How to grow this business, but at a calm, predictable pace. And you might be surprised, but we're also going to talk about how to promote your business, how to sell your products and services at a premium, even if you don't see yourself as a marketer or a salesperson. So for too long, our industry has been keeping secrets, and I'm just done with it. It doesn't need to be that way. That's the way it worked in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It doesn't have to be that way anymore. That's done. There are simple systems to help you run this business, make the money you deserve, and live the life you want. Now, those simple systems are going to give you the quiet confidence to take this company wherever you want to get to. If I had to summarize everything for you, this podcast is about the mindset of growth and success for you as a business owner who just happens to run a wood shop. Now, speaking of mindset, I got a couple of dad jokes for you. And why dad jokes? Why bad jokes? And why dad jokes poorly delivered with poor timing? Because that's how I do it. But I want to get you laughing, and I want to get your mind open to hear what today's topic is all about. When your mind is open, you can take in those new ideas. Like, you can't come into this with a closed mind. So take a moment, join me in some dad jokes. Try to remember these so you can tell them to your family around the table tonight. Hey, what did the ocean say to the seashore? Nothing. It just waved. What's worse than raining cats and dogs? Hailing taxis. Here's one that really, you can use this one on the shop floor. Hey, how does a penguin build its house? Igloos it together. Hold on. I can't even take myself seriously right now. Hey, where do sharks go on vacation? Finland. What did the pig say on the beach? I'm bacon. Okay, we're obviously on a travel theme here, right? Hey, why did the librarian get kicked off the plane? Why did the librarian get kicked off the plane? It was overbooked. Boom. Okay, here's one for you. This one actually might be a little dated, but what travels around the world but stays in one corner? A stamp. I wonder what happens if you ask kids if they know what a stamp is these days. I know that I asked my kids what time it was, and we were looking at an analog, like a clock. I don't know how else to describe it. A clock, 12, 1, 2, 3. And they're like, we never learned how to read that. What? Anyway, so I wonder how many of our kids know what a stamp is. What travels around the world but stays in one corner? A stamp. Kids like riddles. And listen, I want you to share those with your kids and with your family. If you can get groans and laughs and giggles from your kids, there is nothing more beautiful than the sound of children laughing. I just love it. Anyways, listen, I host this podcast because one day I want to be your business coach. There, I said it. As a matter of fact, I have a team of business coaches. I've personally hand selected each and every one of them. I have very high expectations for the people that join my team, and I'm proud of every single one of them. So as you listen to this podcast, just ask yourself if you think me and my team might be the right tool to help you get to the next level. With that being said, I'm going to go into business coach mode right now. Okay. So 2 simple actions for you in this episode. I'm going to challenge you because in this episode, you're going to hear something, you're going to learn something, you're going to realize something, whatever it is. But I want you to take action on that thing in the next 24 hours. And then I want you to pay attention to how that improves your business or maybe even your life. And then number 2, I want you to think on this idea. It's a really simple idea, but I want you to think on it. Are you happy being a woodshop owner who runs a few crews? Or are you ready to be a business person who just happens to run a cabinet shop? Well, by the end of today's episode, you will know the answer. Let's get to it. Mr. Ryan Hindmarsh, how are you?
Great, Tom. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Geez, I said that like I haven't spoken to you in a long time, but you and I talk all the time.
It's true. We do. We do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weekly, sure.
But people here haven't spoken to, I mean, some of them have, but many of them haven't.
That's right. Haven't heard my beautiful voice.
The dulcet tones of your crooner voice.
A face for radio, my mom
Yeah,
always said.
yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah. What is that on your neck, by the way?
My head?
Oh, it's your face. I remember the first time I said that joke to my son, he was like, what is it? I go, it's just your face. Um, so today you and I are going to talk about something that you're actually, it's one of your superpowers in business coaching and in turnarounds because you're that guy,
Hmm.
which is how you and I know each other because you're a business turnaround guy,
Yes.
right?
Back.
How the heck did you get your, well, yeah, I mean, how did you get your revenue responsibility an hour to over $999? So that's what we're going to explore today. So
Right.
learn from you.
Hmm.
Does that sound good? Are you still up for that?
Sounds great. It's a fun topic.
Yeah. Well, let me start with an opening question, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Hmm. Mr. Ryan Hindmarsh, who the heck are you? And how is it that you come to be speaking to all these forward-facing contractors all over the world?
Dude, I love it. Who the heck are you? Who the heck am I?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, why am I sitting? How did I get to this point? Well, I'll tell you, Dom, coaching and business has kind of always been in my DNA.
Hmm.
I've been a coach from my athletic background, where I used to coach NHL players.
That's right.
In
Yeah.
the off season, I wasn't the on the ice guy, but in the off season, strength and conditioning coach for lots of NHL guys and female athletes from the Olympic standpoint. So always, I came from a coaching background that way.
Yeah.
And then moved into entrepreneurial business pieces. And the natural progression there was sports, fitness training, owned a business that way. Then
Oh, wait, you
sports,
owned a fitness, you went from coaching professional athletes to running a
correct,
business that did fitness training.
correct.
Okay.
And then we realized you don't only train people, sometimes they get hurt. So we opened a sports injury clinic.
As you
So the
do.
partner in a sports injury clinic for quite a while, and my wife who does fitness as well and Pilates,
Yeah.
as well through that. So owned and operated that. Got out of that. Actually, more importantly, probably why I'm here, I took a coaching program when I was leading that sports injury business. And it taught me a lot about what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, so hold on. You were running a business and you thought, hey, I need a business coach. So you went and got business coaching in that business.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I
Exactly.
have to make an observation here. So when you were in the sports business, you had part of your business was teaching, was coaching people on sport. So like a fitness gym.
Correct.
And
Correct.
then out the other door, you also had a repair facility. So you had
Correct.
manufacturing and repair. You
Exactly. I
built
gotta
the
put it.
bodies and then you repaired the bodies because of course they're going to get a shoulder injury or whatever it is, pull a hammy.
It worked so well. It was like a one-stop shop. We added even nutrition, massage, the whole bit. At one point, we were up to 28 practitioners, all with different specialties
Oh,
within the
you
realm.
kind of glossed over that. What was your total head count in that company?
Total health count, yeah, was we got up to 28 people plus administrative staff and that sort of piece. So yeah, tons of chiros, physios, massage therapists, naturopaths, personal trainers, class instructors.
Okay.
It's a really cool business. It's still
Wow.
around, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, a great all-in-one kind of shop where you could come and tune up
Work
your body.
out, get hurt, get fixed.
Get the, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so after that, so as you said, I did the business coaching thing and I was like, oh man, I thought I was a good leader. I thought I was a good business person, but it really taught me how to look at a business a little differently, especially from a productivity standpoint.
Mm.
And it taught me how to be a better leader as well. I was like, oh yeah, I'm great. I'm just telling everybody what to do and they're following my orders. So I'm a great leader.
They follow
Learned
our orders because we cut the check, but we have to actually get them to want to do it when we're,
exactly.
get
So
another
it's
gear.
and then from there, I was like, this is so amazing. I drank the Kool-Aid. I became a business coach with a company and purchased a franchise at that time and did business coaching for 4 or 5 years in a row there. And worked with people from all different demographics and businesses, from really large to really small.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously learned a ton there and really enjoyed that. And then one of my clients ended up hiring me to
Yeah,
run
as
their company.
as happens, right?
Yeah, they're like, why coach everybody else when you can just coach our team? So became the CEO of a sleep company.
What?
Some people on the
Of a
call.
sleep company? Would you just
Yeah. So CPAP machines
I
are a
wonder how
good,
many people out there listening use a CPAP machine.
exactly. And I think I wanted to break down that kind of uh, thing that's around CPAPs that's like they're actually good. It did change my life. I actually started wearing a CPAP machine when I became a business coach because I realized I'm not very productive, and I kind of took it back to maybe I'm not sleeping well.
Mm.
And so I've been wearing a CPAP machine ever since. And so it was a CPAP business. We sold CPAP machines and masks and things. And we had 120 people across Canada and 23 different clinics doing that. And I was their CEO for 4 years. And
Gee, so
that's when I'm
you
like, "Eh."
you you really understand team building,
Correct.
and it doesn't seem
Uh,
to you're an entrepreneur.
correct.
You're the business of business guy, which is I'm saying it out loud as if I just realized it, but that's how you and I met. That's why I found you, dragged you onto the team because you're one of our business coaches here.
Correct.
And you
Yes.
have your own contracting trades business as well, just to add it to the list.
Just to add it to the list. And so once I was a part owner of that sleep company, and once I sold out of that and moved into starting business coaching again, and then I'm up. I live in a local I live in a ski resort, outdoorsy area in a smaller community now, and I was like, I need to be more connected to the community. So I purchased an appliance installation business,
Mm.
which I've been doing for over a year now, and it's been a fascinating experience on how to kind of apply all my entrepreneurial ship and leadership and coaching kind of trades, and understanding the trades and construction business a little bit better too, which has been a fantastic experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it's such a wide and varied background. But again, you didn't need handrails in life. You're just out there. You started in the sports world, transitioned your way into the business world, found your way into business coaching, grew some businesses to the point where somebody actually hired you. You grew a multi-million-dollar business and then bought another trades company.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say my parents would probably listen to this, but I said like they're always like, well, you should probably just get a job at some point. And I'm like, no, this entrepreneurial thing's like way more fun.
Yeah, I know. I know somebody once, I think I was going to the bank for something and they said, "Do you have a resume?" And I said, "No."
Yeah.
And we're
Yes.
kind of done. Like if you're a bet, if we're going to do financing on something, you want my resume, we're not on the same page at all.
That's right.
Yeah.
Um, I totally understand that because I was asked when that company hired me, yeah, we have your latest resume. I'm like, I think the last one I wrote was when I was 17 years old.
Yeah. I don't have a
Yeah.
resume. I've got a
Yeah.
string of, yeah. Anyways, um, well, that's quite the answer to the question. And you and I met, by the way, through a really good friend of mine, one of my best
Yes,
friends, and
that's
and
right.
you know him as well. Actually, he wrote the foreword to the book. Did you know that?
That's right in your book. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Martin
right.
wrote the foreword to the book, and he's an ex special forces guy that doesn't talk about things he's done in places he's gone because the
Yes.
pointy tip of the spear kind of guy.
Yes.
But a great guy and an entrepreneur as well. Did you know
That's
he's
right.
actually rolling up in the roofing industry right now? He's on an acquisition
Yes.
spree for roofing companies
Yeah.
and
Cool.
a landscape maintenance companies because why do one when you can do two at the same time?
Yeah. Martin's a great guy. And I think we met and then we were talking and we're like, wait, you know Martin?
Wait, you know
Small world.
Martin? I
And
know.
I was
Yeah.
a business coach with Martin back in the day too, on the same team. So we go
Were
way
you
back.
were you doing work with the railways with BNSF and things like that?
No, I wasn't. No, I
Okay.
think Martin was though, right?
Yeah, he did a lot with that. Anyways, let's get back to Ryan Hindmarsh.
Enough
So
about
listen,
Martin.
yeah, more about you. So one of the let me put this challenge on the table that we have as business
Yes.
owners, as contractors, is that we get sucked into the day to day.
Yes.
As much as we try to focus on building the business and growing, the day's gone and we realized I haven't gotten anything done.
Exactly.
And it comes down to we've lost sight of our priorities.
Correct.
That's maybe that's the wrong way to say it, Ryan. We know what our priorities are. We just haven't been able to spend a minute on the priorities. Is that
That's
fair?
right. 100%. Get past that day and you're like, hey, what did I do? You know, you did something.
I was busy all day and I got nothing done.
Exactly.
So how did I mean, if that's the case, and we know it's the case because you and I have dealt with it, continue to deal with it. It's a continuous struggle for me to make sure I'm operating at my highest and best use. How did you
Mhm.
get yourself up to over $1,000 an hour revenue responsibility? Maybe we should start there, or maybe you want to define what revenue responsibility per hour is as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I look at think how did I get there? Well, revenue responsibility per hour is basically if you take the amount of money your company's making, this is how I coach it, or how much you want it to make from a gross revenue perspective,
Mm.
and you divide that by 2,000 hours, which is if you work 40 hours a week, do we all work 40 times 50 weeks in a year with a couple of weeks of holidays? Just simple calculation for me. If you
Right.
take it
2,000
2,000,
hours. Yeah.
so gross revenue, your top line revenue divided by your by 2,000, and that's your revenue responsibility per hour. So if it's I think in our example here from a thousand standpoint, if it's a $2 million company
Yeah.
divided by 2,000, our revenue responsibility per hour is $1,000.
$1,000 an hour. Yeah. And it's a good way to look at it. It's a good way to look at it. And I want to remind everybody that, Ryan and I mean, we only met a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yet you use the same metric as a business builder that I've been using for years. So I assume you've been using it for years. It's not
Right.
the reason I say that it's not me making it up. Well, wouldn't this be cool? Let's invent this number. I don't
Yeah.
invent numbers. You don't invent numbers.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I was just presenting. There's a software for the construction trades, and they asked me to be a speaker. So I was just there, and I used revenue responsibility per hour on the screen.
Okay, nice.
And at the very bottom, I thought, I like to give the academic reference wherever I can because I want people to understand it's not just me making it up. There's some sort of scientific or accounting or economic reference. And so it's important to reference the author. That's a professional thing to do. So at the very
Mhm.
bottom, though, I put a picture of Lucy, Lucille Ball and Ricky Ricardo,
Okay.
because revenue responsibility per hour is actually, if you go look at economic textbooks or accounting textbooks, it is Ricardo's law of comparative advantage.
That's right.
And so I thought, hey, how about Ricky Ricardo? Because I put a picture of Lucy and Ricky. Anyways,
That's good.
yeah, but that's what it's called, Ricardo's law of comparative advantage. But that's boring,
Yeah. Well, I thought about this the other way when I was coaching somebody that we do think a lot like we're on the tools or um we still remember that, well, I make, call it $50,000 a year. So my hourly rate is, call it $40. So
right?
I think we still think that way sometimes as leaders. It's like I get this much from the company, so that's how much my hour is worth. And I think a big difference from an owner operator and a leader of a company is it's not your hourly rate is how much the company makes or how much you want it to make. And if you start to more think about how much you want it to make or what your
Mm,
goal is or what your target is for your strategic planning, if you start to act like somebody you want to be from a revenue responsibly per hour, you're more likely to get there. So I've tried to get people to stop thinking about 40, $50 an hour, start thinking about $1,000 an hour,
yeah,
$2,000 an hour,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
$10,000.
Ten. Hey, why not be $10,000 an hour? Who says
That's
you can't?
right. I
Who
did
says you
math.
can't?
I did math with a client of mine the other day. He has an $80 million top line gross revenue. His revenue responsibility for hour is $40,000. So he's he's not doing any bookkeeping.
Right, but right. So he's not doing the bookkeeping, but it might be important for him to go talk to the bookkeeper or have them come into the office and say, hey, let's make sure the right GL codes are being used here, because the impact, the echo of that conversation is what he's trying to impact in the company, right?
Exactly.
You're actually running the company.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever done this, but you start working with a company and we get everybody to do their job descriptions.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so when you start asking people to write their job descriptions, the very first thing is there's a high clench factor. People get very nervous. And I
Yes.
find that the more, how do you say it? People write really long job descriptions when they're
Yes.
scared.
True.
But the owner's job description is really simple. It's only 2 words: runs company. But you go
Okay.
talk to somebody, let's just say on the loading dock, or let's say just say a brand new apprentice, they'll give you a massive list of things they're responsible for, right? It's this huge list. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to unload this. I got to load this. I got to check that. And they go through this huge list. This is my job. I'm important to this company because I do all these things. And like, yeah, you're important, right? And you go all the way, let's say, up the organizational chart to somebody who's a foreman, and they've got a pretty good list too. I got to do this. I got to do that. This.
Yeah.
Then you get to the owner. The job description is runs company,
That's right.
right? It would be the same as if you looked at the leader of the country, the president
Hmm.
of the country, runs country. But you go talk to the Secretary of State, they've got this huge list of things they do. Da, 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 da. I got to talk to that. I got to
Hmm.
talk to this. President runs country. That's it.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
that is worth, in your case, in my case, a couple $1,000s an hour. In your client's case, what did you say? 80,000, 40,
40,000.
$40,000 an hour.
Yeah. Well, I always think of this analogy of when you're running a company, you're on a big ship and you've got this thing moving and there's so many working parts that are kind of going there, but your responsibility really is to direct that boat, put that thing in the right direction. You're steering it or you're telling everybody
Yeah.
where it's going and you've done
You're
all the math,
managing the people.
checked all the departments and you're like, all right, we're going due northwest and that's it. Let's go.
Yeah. So you're managing the people. And that is one of the things that's important here is we can leverage our business. We can grow the business through people.
Hmm.
And you and I hear this a lot. We don't just work with big companies like you used in the example there. We work with smaller
Hmm.
companies as well. And
For
in that
sure.
case, yes, sometimes you're on the tools. That's fine to be on the tools sometimes.
Something exactly.
But when you want to start to work from the neck up or work smarter, not harder, you got to start thinking like, hey, I need to be making $1,000 an hour decisions.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. The decisions, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So what are the tools you use to keep yourself in that zone? And maybe think about
Yeah.
the growth you had at the CPAP company or what you're doing here at the appliance installations company. What do you do to keep yourself in that zone of high level thinking, high level actions?
Yeah, no, great question. I think for me, it's all about setting priorities. So it's like going through your list of activities and saying, okay, well, how do I categorize these priorities at $1,000 an hour? And
Mhm.
it's you almost work with people. You take a list of what are you doing all for the whole week, and then what should you be doing that's kind of worth more, like $1,000. Yeah, you can be on the tools. You can be driving to different places to pick up stuff potentially once in a while, but I call them the high value activities, and the biggest ones for me, for people, and for myself was strategy. That's worth $1,000 an hour. That's
Yeah.
$1,000 an hour.
Yeah.
I would say if you're the sales, the major sales component or the quoting person or estimating person for your business, that's $1,000 an hour activity. And whatever you do from a leadership standpoint that way. And the other one would be coaching and developing your people, your direct reports. To me,
Yeah.
that's the multiplication factor of how do I help these people develop so that they can do something that I was doing, or they can do it better
Mm.
than me, so that I can still focus on my $1,000 an hour jobs. And
Okay.
then,
Yeah.
kind of how I always break it down with people, a high functioning owner
Yeah.
from a high value activity pace would spend 50% of their time to start as a goal on high value activities. So if you basically can break down your calendar on your week, you can take a look at it right now if you use Google Calendar or a scheduling system and go, okay, how much of my time is spent on high value? We almost have to do a self audit, right?
Well, yeah.
Or get someone in my company to take a look at it for me. Or if you have a coach, get them to look at it for you and go, okay, well, here we go. Okay, what's happening in this hour? How about this hour? How about this hour? If you take 20 of your 40 hours, we use 40, I use a 40-hour work week, which is maybe unrealistic, but if you're 20 of your 40 hours, you're functioning well.
It's interesting because there's a theme that ran through all of your answers. So here's what I wrote down as Mr. Ryan Hindmarsh, Coach Ryan,
Yes,
was
yeah.
here's the high value activities: strategy, sales, leadership, people development. Those are high function activities. How important is time management running through all that? So, how much of a gap do you see in time management when you coach business leaders?
Oh, it's massive. Like I think you brought up this example at the beginning. You get through a whole day and we're like, did something.
What do I
Um,
do?
but we're never really looking back and going assessing it, right? Did I spend time on these high value activities that I said I was going to do this week? Like, did I spend 30% of my time in sales, which is my highest value? Did I spend
Mm.
2 hours looking at my strategic plan and making sure I'm going in the right direction? And really, the only way we can do that is to put time in our calendar for that stuff. And those are
Calendar?
the
Hold on.
calendar.
What do you mean calendar? Like the thing on the wall that I got from the butcher shop?
That could work with all the pictures of puppies and
Yeah.
cats and
Oh,
that.
hopefully
Yeah.
not from the butcher shop. Jeez, what are you
Yeah.
serving at your butcher shop? Um,
Good point.
I, I I find that a lot of the challenges come from a lack of discipline on time management. Not that people don't care about it. It's just that
No.
we get pulled in a gajillion directions, and a fire burning needs to be put out now.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've seen that as well.
It does happen. I think it's always going to happen. I think the best part about fires is we can learn from the fires. So if we talk about the other side of things, how do I get myself out of things that aren't $1,000 an hour? It's
Mm.
analyzing every time a fire happens and going, okay, what caused the fire? What happened in the fire? Who was involved in the fire? How long did it take to put the fire out? How can we hopefully avoid this fire in the future? And I think part of time management learning is, yeah, I've set my week up or my day up to work on some of these things that were high value to me, but stuff got in the way. It's going to happen always. But how do I start to help eliminate those things? And how do I bring my team more involved to help take care of more of those things? How do I communicate with my customers maybe a little bit better to make sure that I don't have those fires ongoing?
So let's do this as a game. I'm going to get you to coach me as if I was way back in my one of my home sort of home handyman, home light home reno kind of businesses. My
Hmm.
company, one of my companies was called Ladderman Home Services.
Ladderman.
But yeah, you got to say it like a superhero, like I am Ladderman. And actually, the reason I picked that name is because people are afraid of ladders, and people don't have ladders.
There's no, you don't have to install an appliance on a ladder. So there's
That's why
no,
you chose, yeah, something right ground level. Um, but I'm running that business. Let's say I've got a crew of like 6 guys, and I'm just not growing. I feel stuck. We're doing okay, but we're not doing great. And then
yes.
you, as a business coach, figure out that actually I'm not operating at my highest and best use, which is
Hmm.
you would want to do that for your power washer. You want to make sure the power washer is always operating at maximum, so, or your CNC if you've got a shop, or your laser cutter, right?
Sure. Hmm.
So, what would you do if you found out that I wasn't using my time properly, Ryan? Give us an example of how you might coach me, not
Yes.
on a daily basis, but what would be your coaching path for me?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. And I kind of have brought up before. It's like, let's look at the past day, the past week, something. Let's do an analysis of what happened during that
Mm,
week, how you spent your time. Then let's look at how you want to spend your time based on your high value pieces. And then let's set some goals, some targets on how to
mm,
move towards that. And let's talk every 2 weeks as we do in our coaching to go, how did we do there? Here was the one thing we were looking at doing more. Maybe a strategy. Maybe you wanted to spend 2 hours, maybe 1 hour, maybe half an hour a week, just looking at your strategic plan and going, what are these things I need to do to move this forward? Maybe it's I need to make 3 calls to a kitchen company. I'll use my business example to see if they need appliance installers
right.
and setting just appropriate tasks and goals to get you closer to where you want to be versus where you were. But I think that analysis is a big component of it.
Yeah, get the data.
Get the data.
In God we trust. Everybody else bring data.
Yes.
Have
Very
you ever
true.
seen that sign?
That's good.
Yeah, in God we trust. Everybody else bring data.
That's good. I like
Yeah,
that.
because well, unless you have data, unless you have information, you're guessing, and guessing, or is this hope is not a strategy,
Oh,
right?
business. I love that one. Yeah.
Now you mentioned something else. So we went from how to make sure that you're operating at your highest and best rate. So in this particular case, where you were at is about $1,000 an hour revenue responsibility. So from
Hmm.
there we jumped back up the scale, right? So we worked our way back in this conversation to time management. And then right away you mentioned the strategic plan as one of the actions you would get me to do. Again,
Yes.
back to the facts. Like what do you want to achieve? What does a strategic plan mean to you when you're taking an owner like myself through the path of growth?
Yeah. Well, and it's the first thing you do. Because to me, that is the place where the owner looks at where I want to go. Here's where I want to go. Amazing. Where do I want to be in a year?
Right.
I want to be in 3 years. What do I see this in 10 years? And then breaking it down into tasks that are handleable. Is that a word?
It
Handleables.
is now. You
We
just
have
said it on a
handle
podcast.
we install handleables on fridges and taking that strategic plan and just going, here's our plan. It's like it's just your GPS. It's your like if I'm gonna go before we had phones, if I'm gonna go somewhere, I'm gonna pull out a map first. And I go,
It's a
where am I gonna
blueprint,
go? Where's my
right?
rest stop?
Schematics, blueprint. We all need them.
We
We
all
work
need
from them
them.
all day as contractors.
And I think to me that strategy piece, it's there's goals in there. We call them rocks when we use our VTOs. Like, and to me, those are the priorities and those are our high value activities of what we want to do. We write them down, we commit to them together, we
Right.
talk about them as we're going. And I think it's like anything else. It's if you're aware of it, if you understand it and you've committed to it from a plan perspective, then you can create a plan of action afterwards to achieve it. But to me, it's like the strategy is the number one thing. You can't go anywhere without the strategy because then we don't
Yeah.
know where we're going. We're just going to drive around in our truck and hope for the best.
I'm gonna take us into a different direction just because you've got such a unique background from having coached NHL players, hockey, and
Yes.
then did you say Olympics as well?
Yeah, some
And,
Olympic athletes.
and then
Yes.
your background's basketball. You were,
Oh, yeah, varsity basketball player.
yeah. Did you ever have an NHL player that came in and said, I don't know, I just want to be a little bit better, but didn't have an actual, you're laughing. Like, because how would you put together a strategic plan for an NHL player? Or did you, or was there a written plan? Like, tell us a little bit about that because that would be really
Yeah.
interesting backdrop to this.
Yeah, for how it rolled. So the way we operate is we would get a host of NHL players in the summer in their off season,
Mm-hmm.
and they had some mandate or a plan of where they wanted to get the next season. So in conjunction with their team, who's paying them, they needed to get to a certain point physically
Right.
to ensure that they would perform better or better in the next season and became more valuable to that team. And it
Sure.
was quite, we would have, depending on the athlete, one would be, we got to get this guy quicker. The other one would be like, we need him with 10 pounds more muscle so he can win some battles in the corner.
Okay.
Other one would be, we need this guy. He's muscular, he's quick, he's good. We just need him to focus and be good in the summer and make sure he comes back not injured. So let's work on some of his flexibility pieces so that he
Mhm.
doesn't, so he can last on the ice because he's injury prone. So it was always they were assessing the athlete, like we said, we kind of what are we doing? And
Right.
then we created a plan, and then we would work that plan for the 3 months of the off season, send them off. The nice thing is they had a test when they showed up to camp. We always had a test. And so we had objective measures of like,
Mm.
did we get them 10% stronger?
Oh,
Well,
I see. So you
the
establish a
bench
baseline. A
the
baseline.
bench test would do it. Did we get them quicker? Well, there's an agility test that they would do when they went back to camp that would show if they got quicker. Um, so the plan was always there, and we were working the plan very specific to the athlete, which I think is from a business standpoint, we need to be very specific to the business.
It's funny that then we would just watch a hockey game and just see an improvement or a decline in an athlete, but we didn't recognize everything that went on in the background. Because we think the off season for a hockey player is just golf. And I know you live at a ski resort where golf, I think you can walk to the golf course from where you live.
I can walk to the golf course, yeah,
And how often do you do that, Ryan?
3 times a week.
It's exercise.
It's
Walk into the
exercise. Exactly.
but we just think they golf on their off season, but really they toil in obscurity for that moment of fame. They are working constantly. And as owners, we have to do the same thing. You know, we find a lot of cases, we just find ourselves a business owner. We're like, oh,
Yeah.
got 5 people working for me. I guess I'm running a company.
Yes.
And that's when they sort of dial the phone and or send us a text message. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Dom. I want to grow this thing. I'm ready to take it seriously. But
Hmm.
they've been toiling in obscurity and they're probably going to continue to toil in obscurity until they break through. And all that people are going to see is, hey, how come that guy's always got a new truck?
Yeah.
Did you hear Jeff just bought another building? Right? Or Jeff took his family on vacation again.
The one other thing, Dom, you made me just remind me of this that I think we all forget to prioritize as owners and leaders is personal professional development. So athletes are developing in the off season so that they can perform during the season.
Yeah.
Us as owners, it's $1,000 an hour as a to spend time developing yourself and always coach owners to do that. And that's listening to podcasts. That's getting information. That's reading a book. That's networking with common people around your neighborhood about different things and that's professional development. And if we need to improve for our business to improve. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that when you and I do business coaching, we start with a strategic plan for people. It's
yes.
our way of getting everything on paper. And as you mentioned, even with the athletes, what's your baseline? Like how fast are you skating now? How flexible are you now? So
Hmm.
that's today. And then what's the goal? In X amount of time, we want to be this much more flexible or this much faster or whatever. And that's what we do in coaching. And it's the accountability. You know, imagine, well, let me ask this as a question. Did you, how did you deal with a NHL player who showed up and had low commitment?
Yeah, we had some of those guys. Usually it was right after a big contract year.
I just made 9 million. What can you tell me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we re-signed. Man, usually, so low commitment, it was always a conversation. First of all, those, but you could recognize it right away. They weren't giving it their all on the drill or whatever it is. And it
Mm.
was usually a pull aside, like we would do with one of our team members, if we know they're not performing or they're showing up late or that sort of piece. It was a pull aside and go, what are you really in this for? Like, what motivates you? Like, how can I help you perform better through this piece? And it's the motivation is different for everybody, right? It could be money, it could be time off, it could be spend more time with my kids. But once you could kind of find that, uh, and yell a bit, as we're doing some drills, like let's go, beat your time, whatever. Maybe you want to beat the guy beside you because you guys, you're gonna play St. Louis in the third week and you're gonna fight. Like we just know it. So do you want to beat him in
Because
that fight?
that's how the last game ended with you guys fighting. By the
Yes.
way, didn't he knock your helmet off and take you to the ice? Oh, yeah. Just thought you'd want to see that replay.
It's amazing how those guys remember all those things for sure too. But it happens a lot, right? And I think it's more like it's the one-to-one to those people going, what's going on and how can we help you get to this point? Because we
You
know
know,
you're high
it's funny
performance,
you
right?
say that. I can remember I've never done the math on this, but I can remember a handful of times when guys have said to me, I'm like, why do you want to grow the business? What do you want to achieve? Da, da, da. And let's just say they're in a city. I'll just say Duluth, Minnesota. I don't know why. Just say
Yeah.
Duluth, Duluth, Dallas, Denver. It doesn't matter. And they're like, I left my old company and my boss told me I'd never make it. And I just want to crush him. How many
Mm,
guys are driven by that? I want to beat George. Like
yeah.
I just want to show. Or I've also had people who said my father-in-law said I was never going to be good enough for his daughter.
Oh yeah.
Right? That's happened a couple times, and you just okay, sure, right? And now who does everybody in the family come to when they need something fixed? Maybe when they need a little financial help. Suddenly, I'm not so bad anymore, right? And so you're like, okay, I've proven it, but I want to continue to prove it. There's an internal fire that
Yes.
people you either have it or you don't.
Yeah, it's that fire and that competitive spirit. And hey, as entrepreneurs, I think we all have this competitive spirit, right? We want to be able to prove something to ourselves, to our families,
Yeah.
to our friends around us that hey, we can make this happen and we're going to be successful at it in the way that we deem it successful.
Yeah.
Um, Potentially not the world, but the way that's best for us, right?
Yeah. There's intention there for sure.
Hmm.
Right. We've got to have that. There's been days when I have not achieved one single thing towards the future. All I've
Correct.
done is take care of today or something from the past. And it's frustrating.
Hmm.
I mean, do you have that what's your company's got a really neat acronym, MOE,
Well,
mid
get up
Ontario
here. You
Atlantic.
get
Well, let's
here.
see the back there. Yeah, oh, there you go. For those of you watching this on YouTube, we just did a product class. But in running the appliance installation, you're a subcontractor, right?
Correct.
Do you ever have days where you're just like, all I did was take care of today. I did nothing for the future of this company.
Oh, always, and I shouldn't say always.
Sorry, but no, but you
Quite
recognize it.
often, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, quite often, and kind of reflect into those times. And I always do like an analysis after the week and go, okay, well, what did I plan to do? What did I do? How did it kind of all work out? And what can I learn from it?
sounds like what an NHL player does at the end of a season with you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, how's it go from there? But like I think what you're bringing up too, it's this the intention is part of it, and the goals part of it, and the strategic plan is a major part of it. Here's what we're planning to do.
mm,
All plans don't go as planned, and there's always going to be certain things that are going to pop up and happen, and we're good at dealing with those things too. Let's just
yeah,
get back in and reset the next day and go for it, right?
yeah. To quote our good friend Martin Hunter, no plan survives first contact with the enemy,
Oh, yeah.
right? But I still have to have a plan because when I have a plan, when I have a written plan, I also have a backup plan.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
got an option B, C, and D. Or as guys like you and I will say, you can throw me any bottleneck you want. I will find a way over it, around it, through it, or I will redefine it so it suits my purposes. But I
Hmm.
will not be held back. We don't have to be because we have a plan.
Hmm.
right? And I do feel bad for people that don't have a plan or have found themselves stuck. Lots of people have a plan, or maybe it's a wish because they haven't put it in paper and it's not formalized. And there's tricks you
Mhm.
and I know to make those things get, grippy tires, but you lose sight of it. You forgot about it. You wrote it down, but where's that piece of paper? You
Exactly.
did an exercise, but you never did the follow up.
Hmm.
That's where the accountability comes in. Let's go back to the NHL players. How often did they have to show up to your training facility?
Every day, 8 o'clock, 8 to 3, we did dry land training. We did on ice training. It
But
was, damn, just
Ryan, how does that make sense? These are already in the elite league of hockey, and they're already the best player, and they've already been drafted, and they're already making millions a year. And you're telling me holding, they're still accountable, holding themselves accountable?
still accountable. And I would think now, back when we were doing it now, they must have a golf analogy too. Like they talk about their team now. They got a host of people. It's not unlike my sports injury clinic where they have a nutritionist, they have a psychologist, they have a strength coach, they have a
Right.
flexibility coach, they have different pieces. We had four different coaches on a day that would be watching and helping these athletes
Yeah.
go through these pieces.
Yeah.
And
It's interesting
it's
that you say that. Yeah,
yeah,
because people say, well, they're good because they've got business coaches or they've got strength and conditioning coaches, but that's not true.
no,
The opposite is true. They invested in themselves in some way and they got great. And then they said, hey, the tool to getting great is to continue using advisors, perspective. So
yeah.
it's not like when they got to the NHL, they stopped using coaches and trainers. They kept using them. And the analogy I'm trying to make here, folks, if you can't see I'm beating you over the head with it, is that use a business coach. And it doesn't have to be Ryan or me.
No, yeah.
It's fine. Don't
Yeah.
ever use Ryan or me. Don't ever use any of us here. But find a coach, find a mentor, find somebody who's got pure intent for your success
Hmm.
and leverage that because that's the highest and best use of your time.
Invest in yourself, right? Is one of the biggest pieces, but invest your time. Like use your time to invest in
Yeah.
yourself too, because that's such your valuable. It's the only thing you have. The clock keeps spinning. If you invest some of your time in developing yourself or getting some help through that, that's what takes you to the next level, especially with people who've been there and done it, seen it before, done that, because
Yeah.
we really get in the weeds quite a bit with our own businesses. And I do it myself. I do it myself on a
I,
weekly basis.
you know what? When I find myself in a place where I don't know what to do, I'm in new territory, new ground, I go talk to people who've been there before because
Hmm.
I'm going to learn. I think shortcuts is the wrong word because sometimes shortcut implies that I'm skipping something, but I don't want to have to relearn the lesson.
Yes.
Like, hey, go grab that stove. Oh, careful. It could be hot. Okay. I needed to hear that in advance.
Yeah.
Right.
Do I
Right.
have to learn that one?
Do I,
Yeah.
do I have to learn that one again? No, but it'd be nice if somebody told me careful that, it's hot. And so it's the same thing in business. Go to somebody who's been through the systems. Like you've already mentioned time management, strategic planning, intention. Um, what did you say here? For if I want to be a high functioning person, I need to do high value activities, have a strategy, focus on sales, focus on leadership and people development.
Yeah.
Well, how long did it take you to hammer cold steel to get those 3 points?
Oh, in my own life and own businesses. Yeah.
Right?
Wow. Wow. A couple decades, right? And a lot of it is until you start to use it and live it and breathe it and see the value of all that stuff, then it's just a no-brainer. It's like, I've
Yeah.
got this. Yeah.
You've got a lot of books on your shelf. So I want to ask you, and you've mentioned
Mhm.
strategic planning. What have you learned in going through, the EOS model, which comes from the book Traction? There's a
Yes.
lot of acronyms you and I have used today, right?
That's right.
Uh, but the
MVP, we use
EOS
that
model, the
one.
entrepreneur operating system, what have
Yes.
you learned in guiding people through that?
Well, I think it comes back to kind of all that we're talking about and I love the breakdown of the 30 or sorry, the 90 days. We take it from 10 years down to three, down to 90 days because I think as humans, we like kind of quick wins. We like to see results and those sort of pieces. And And what I've learned is people really can grab onto those and attack those. And hopefully we're there along to help and prioritize them. If you've got a list of 11 of them, if you could do one thing, which one is it? Let's start there and then go to the next one to go to the
Yeah.
next, because we get super overwhelmed. So with all these things, so what I've learned is that helping people through this is like, what do I need to do today? Like, what's today? Well, tomorrow will worry about itself. We've got a plan. Let's action this and let's move
Yeah.
forward and knock these things. So I love the 30-day chunks and breaking it down and seeing the results and the smiles and the confidence and stuff that comes with doing something you say you're going to
Right.
do and seeing it
Just
happen.
following it through, breaking it down from what do I need to do in 10 years and what do I need to do today, and then doing it. And so you only need to do one thing a day. It doesn't have to be big,
No, exactly. Yeah.
but do it.
1%. 1% a day. What does that turn into? 1% a day based on the one of my other favorite books, Atomic Habits by the guy who wrote it, is it's just like 1%. You can be 1% better a day. That's easy. At the end of the year, you're a lot better.
However, you're not 365% better. Is that the math?
Something in there, some misquoting some of
You
it,
notice
but
I'm not a CFO. You'll
yeah,
notice that
yeah,
I never became a CFO because my math doesn't work right.
yeah.
But you're right. I use the analogy here. If let's say that you and I were competing with each other in some way, and my action item was I'm going to eat a bowl of ice cream every night before I go to bed, and
Mhm.
your action was 10 push-ups before you went to bed. At the end of a day or a week, there's really no difference between the two of us. But
Yeah,
what would the difference be between the two of us at the end of a year? I
yeah.
ate a bowl of ice cream before bed every night, and you did 10 push-ups every night. What would that look like?
Big difference.
Yeah.
But our different parts of our body would grow differently.
That was so nicely said. Okay. Now let me take it to another level. Let me get up really at the legacy level of a business owner. Now
Mhm.
your kids see you doing 10 push-ups a night before bed.
Mhm.
Your daughter and your son, so you got two kids, they both see you doing that. My kids see me eating a bowl of ice cream every night before bed. Okay, so now we've got the legacy of my family name, which is attached to every night before bed, we eat a bowl of ice cream.
Mhm.
And then we got the legacy of the Hindmarsh family, which is every night before bed, we do physical activity. Now take it out a generation. What's the
Mhm.
impact on the generation?
Just the multiplication of that, right? The impact
Crazy.
of yeah, it's it's really really cool the fitness piece you bring that in because my wife's father was really into physical fitness and you could really see how it like
Mm,
affected those children as they kind of went through. And my father as well too. We would wake up and no matter how cold, we live in a cold, we grew up in a cold climate. No matter how cold it was, he'd go running every day, just nonstop. And it affects, as you say, generations. I'm a example of that. My wife is as well. And yeah, there's not much ice cream in this
yeah.
house.
Because we finish it really fast.
Yes. And then we do 100 push-ups just because, yeah. On the other side, but
That's right. Right.
I think to your point, from a business
Well,
standpoint and from a strategy standpoint, from $1,000 an hour standpoint, there's little things that we can do repeatedly. And if we're focusing on our high value activities on an ongoing basis and repeatedly thinking about them and doing them and going back to our written plan and crossing off things, it's going to work. It's going to work. It can't not.
yeah,
Right?
it can't not work. Isn't that funny? The guarantee is if you don't do it, it won't work. And if you do do it, it will work.
Exactly.
Eh, That's it. You know, Ryan, this has been great. And we should let you go because I know you've got some other coaching appointments to get to.
Mhm.
But I think you know what we're going to do, and I'll talk more about this in the outro. Is that attached to some of Ryan's wisdom today? Is we're going to put the blueprint, the
Oh, nice.
construction millionaire blueprint that you and I follow.
Hmm.
Yeah, because you know you did a good job today of backtracking from where we started, which was revenue responsibility per hour, and you went back to time management, then you went back to the strategic plan, and then the discipline of the plan. right? Which is you've learned to do that from all of your coaching background. But then I'll share the tool with people later, the Construction Millionaire Blueprint, which is, I mean, the best way to say it is it's what you and I think about when we're coaching somebody.
That's right. Yeah.
Imagine all the root cause analysis you ever wanted on how to fix X by looking back at A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'll offer that to people
That's
here.
great.
I think it's a
Yeah.
good download. Yeah.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Now, if somebody wants to reach Ryan or me, you shoot us a text. Our cell phone number here at the company is 315-903-7853. And then you've been on boot camp a number of times. So lots of people have already met you because you're in the Construction Millionaire boot camp. You're coaching a couple of clients. So some people know you already, but it's nice to have you on the show. And definitely going to find you've got a lot of topics I'm going to bring you back for.
Cool. Yeah. I enjoy speaking, but helping, learning, and most of all, coaching, right?
Yeah. I would imagine that people that have a high level sports background, we've got a guy right now that's a high level CrossFitter and a high level hockey athlete.
Nice.
Who's one of our coaching clients. He's in the one-on-one coaching program. But we've got lots of people here, as you know, that are high level athletes, and they just track it over to so many marathoners that are also business owners, and they just because they already understand the value of perspective.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. Right? Yeah. We can talk hockey, any sport. We can talk any sport. Ask my wife. We can talk any sport.
Any sport. All right, Ryan. Thanks for being on the show. We'll have you back.
Okay, Tom. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Talk to you soon. Yeah. Bye. Well. What did you learn from that episode? And remember, I asked you earlier, what can you put in place? What can you put in place? And then, of course, check. After you put that in place, what's the impact in 24 hours? Just think about that. Imagine if you did that every single week for the rest of this year, making one small change every single week. That's what we want you to do. That's what business coaches want you to do. Hey, I want to read a testimonial, and then I want to simplify and solve a common business problem. So here's a testimonial that I got. I got this one by text message. This happens to be from a painter. His name's Matt. So, he was texting me back and forth, one of the free downloads or something. So we get to chatting, right? So anyways, just out of the blue, he sends me this text. I'm going to beep out a part, just so you know. So even if you've got kids in the car, we don't swear, cuss, or curse on the show. Now he's got some juicy bits in here, but you'll hear me beep it out. It's fine. Hey man, you had an episode hit me right in the beep today. Really appreciate the stuff you're putting out in the world. So thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. You got a smile on my face. This one's an email I got from somebody. So I'll just read this. I've been listening to you for more than a year now. Years ago, I started reading books, helping and learning hands-on. Someone taught me that word of mouth is my best advertisement. So I have repeat customers, but I need more. I leave business cards at stores and gas stations. I'm growing, but not as fast as I want. Thank you for the profit leaks. So anyways, he downloaded the profit leaks document. So thank you for the profit leaks, because he knew that that's the document he needed at the time. So just two messages from people out there who've been listening, as many of you do, but I love it when I hear back from people. Sometimes I feel like I'm just doing this podcast, talking to a computer on my own. And then I get on a phone call with somebody. I'm like, there's real humans on the other end, right? There's a real wood shop listening. There's somebody out there who's got headphones on. You're alone in your wood shop right now. You're looking around and you're like, Rubino, it's just me. You keep talking about people and process and systems and profits, and it's just me. And I'm like, yeah, it's just you today. You're no different than somebody who's in an office and they've got a $5 million wood shop, and they're saying, we are not growing the way I want to grow. I need to make some strategic changes. What do I do? Well, they're listening to the same show as you are. So take comfort in that, right? All right. Anyways, we're going to simplify and solve a common problem. So I do this at the end of every podcast. The problem that we're going to talk about today is I want to give you the 3 most popular downloads that we get asked for. So it's kind of a faster way to get you what everybody else is looking for, if that helps. So let's say that you're a $1 million cabinet shop and you're saying, okay, I want to get to the next level. I want simple systems. You might say, well, I wonder what everybody else is downloading from Dom. Well, this is one of those packs. So I put together a profit pack. It's got 3 documents in it in one shot. So if you want it, you just send me a text message and just say profit pack, and then I'll send it off to you. The 3 documents are the go back calculator, the where are my blind spots self-assessment, and then how do I calculate my revenue responsibility per hour? Now, those things are important for wood shops, closet companies, architecture mill workshops, because all of them answer a specific question that's going to lead itself back to profitability. That profitability gives you a bit of money to make, serious decisions. Let's say you want to upgrade your CNC, or you want to start pulling a salary for yourself. You're like, how do I do that, Dom? Well, you have to know your hourly rate properly. So there's 2 documents there that help you triangulate that. But more importantly, for instance, the go back calculator, on the go back calculator, it's an unlocked Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't sound very exciting, right? But that's all. It's a simple tool. It's supposed to stay simple. So it's an unlocked Excel spreadsheet. So you just sit there and you add an extra column and you say, okay, I understand all of these inputs right now. And these current inputs, the numbers I already know, tell me my current hourly rate needs to be this in order for me to make a profit. Good. Operate at that level, you're fine. But what if I buy a new CNC? What if I build a building? What if I start taking a salary of 100, 120, 150, 200,000 a year? You guys are rolling. You're like, never. Yeah. That's exactly what I show people how to do. You come to this show to say those crazy things and for me to say, yep, here's how you do it with a straight face. So you add a what if column. That's it. Simple system. Simple system. So anyways, the Profit Pack's got 3 tools like that. Number 1 is the go back calculator. And I got to say, the go back calculator is just called the go back calculator because it's the easiest thing to call it. It's called the 1 hour calculator. It's also called the go back calculator. It's called the cost of an hour calculator. It's a different tool depending on when and where you use it in your business. But because people text me for it, I just say, just send me the keyword go back. Anyway, don't do that now. If you want all 3 of them, just say Profit Pack and then text me. You guys already know the cell phone number. It's 315-903-7853. And then you just say Profit Pack and I'll shoot it off to you. Then the other one's the Where Are My Blind Spots, which is a construction business reality check. Now it says construction business because we're largely in the construction and contracting space. Feel free to share this with one of the GCs that you're working with that you wish their operations were a bit better. Share it with them. What's the harm? Let them know that you're on a path of growth. Let them know that you have a mindset of success because they're going to see in you, hey, this guy cares about his business. This guy knows he's on the path to simple systems. That's somebody I can rely on. That's what a builder wants. That's what a builder wants to hear. Or a GC. Like, other business people appreciate business people who are on a path of growth. What we don't want is randomness. I had a guest, I think it was Kyle Nitchin, said, and he was on here talking about project management, right? The most expensive building is a building that never got built. Yike, right? How many builders are holding you up right now? You've got work ready, or you're trying to schedule it, or it's WIP right now. Maybe it's even stored at the back of your shop. Maybe they need to see this. So get this as a gift for them. It's called the Where Are My Blind Spots? A construction business reality check. It's very simple. Again, everything I do here is simple systems, usually has a simple visual, which is why you need to download it. Right. So print it off, go to a coffee shop, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, get a coffee you're going to love, put in your headphones, face the corner, and just do some work. Work on your business, not in it. You've got permission from me. I'm your business coach right now, and you've got permission to do it. So go ahead and do that, and then you'll get the answer. And then the third one there is, how do I calculate my revenue responsibility per hour? That is a very big picture exercise that normally you wouldn't do unless you were a multi-million-dollar business already. But I'm going to show it to you now because I need you to start thinking like you are a multi-million-dollar business, because you have to think that way to get that way. Anyways, I think if you heard my show before, you know that those downloads are there, but now it's a much simpler way. I just put them all together in something called the Profit Pack. So that's, if you want it, just text me the words Profit Pack, and I'll tell you the cell phone number one more time in case you're driving: 315-903-7853. Hey folks, I really appreciate you listening to the show. This podcast is just a temporary holding place until you and I have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine across the table, like real humans face to face. And I can't wait for the day that happens. Until then, though, we've got the podcast. So we'll see you here next episode. Thanks.